We're ready to go.
Cool. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining us. This is our second Vvj Ballroom talk series as a kind of starting point for our ball. It's coming up at the end of the month, July 31st. I'm so excited to have the Toronto scene up in here speaking, and I really wanted this opportunity to just give some space and get everyone to learn about more about the Toronto scene. Before we start and before I hand it off to Twysted and their speakers, I want to acknowledge that Vvj is on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. Me as an artist, but also as an organization, I want to acknowledge that as part of reclaiming Indigenous rights to Indigenous people, that they are also the original caretakers of the water and the lands, and that we as an organization want to help support and continue that conversation to get these rights back to these people. I'm gonna stop talking. This is not about me. This is about y'all. So enjoy the talk, and I will be just the person in the back. I'll leave it to Twysted.
No, it wasn't on. Now it is. Hello, everybody. My name is Twysted, Miyake-Mugler. I am one of the co-founders of the Toronto Tiki Ram Alliance. I am the father of the Canada and Midwest region of the iconic house of Miyake-Mugler. And I'm the founding father of the Supreme Kiki House of Christian Siriano. And I'm really grateful. Thank you, Ralph, and everybody at Vvj for including myself and Toronto in this discussion. When you asked me, before I introduce, actually, no, let me introduce them first. I want to introduce my panelists that I'm going to have here. I know I'm calling them panelists, but it's the people who's going to have this discussion with me. I want to first introduce one of the pioneers of the LGBT scene in Toronto, definitely a legend in the scene here, not just for what he's done in the ballroom community, but for the Black LGBTs community at large, providing some party spaces and doing community work when nobody else was doing it. So I want to shout out our first panelist, the legendary DJ Blackcat, also known as Charmed Monroe.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. And I also want to welcome the other guests who I asked to be a part of this conversation with me today. Known this person since we were picnic, literally speaking, and have grown even closer in this community. And it's not just because we know each other. It's really also a respect thing. I see the things that TD does and the heart that TD has, and it's really unmatched. And when it came to the conversation that we're having today, which is talking about how you can support ballroom from off the floor, there was a lot of years that TD was doing that. But I would have it no other way but to invite you to be a part of this conversation. Welcome everybody from the House of Constantine. This is TD Constantine.
Hello, hi everybody, hello.
I noticed that you guys have your pronouns in your names. Yes, keep the microphone unmuted the whole time. I noticed you guys have your pronouns in your name, so I'm going to definitely copy that as well, follow suit, and put my he, him pronouns there. Yeah, so the conversation today, guys, is going to be something that is, everybody's going to be able to kind of pitch in on this conversation because we know that the heart of ballroom is not actually what's done on the ballroom runway floor, right? So we know that the strongest impact that people have, the communal impact, the actual life impact that it has on individuals, all of these things are done beyond the runway. So we're gonna have a conversation today about how people can support ballroom or be a part of ballroom if they're not on the floor. This is a topic that comes up a lot of times. And as you guys can see with the people that are even on the call here, Blackcat, who's been around the scene from the very, very beginning, he is not on the runway floor, right? But the things that he does amplifies the ballroom region here, the ballroom community here, and the ballroom participants. And obviously, I'm gonna let Blackcat share his story and how we got involved in ballroom in a second. And there's other ways that people can support ballroom as well. So, how do I want to start this conversation? Let's start with getting a little bit of background on you guys. So I'm gonna ask you guys, what brought you into ballroom, one, right? And what keeps you involved in ballroom as we are here? And of course, I'll answer the questions after you guys, but to start off the conversation, to kind of get a little bit of background into who you guys are and your passion, we'll start with those questions. So what brought you into ballroom and what keeps you in ballroom? Whoever wants to.
I guess I'll go first. I started ballroom.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I started ballroom back in 2013, going on 14. So that'll be like 9 years now. I started walking sex siren, body, still walk realness, getting into commentator. I was watching a lot of the ballroom scene in Toronto. I wasn't in touch with the American scene, international scene. I haven't seen them before until Mr. Maple Leaf, Twysted, has introduced me into the community and actually brought me out to the States, and I actually got to see it in person. So watching him, watching Precious, because that is my favorite commentator, those people, just the energy alone and just seeing everybody enjoying themselves, being able to be their self, that's what actually got me to continue to be a part of the ballroom scene.
Oh, Twysted, you're just muted right now, yeah.
Sorry. So something about people having the ability to express themselves freely and having nowhere else to do so. So whether you're winning, whether you're losing, you just have a place where you get to really feel free and you get to feel safe. And we're going to talk about the people that help to make and create these spaces, because this is how people can also help beyond the runway to help to facilitate, create, and seek out these spaces for community to actually get to enjoy themselves and get to feel free and get to express themselves in ways that they cannot do elsewhere. So thank you for that, T, for that little background. And what about you, DJ Blackcat? You're from before, you knew about ballroom before we did. So.
So I started DJing in '92, but I guess the music is what keeps me in ballroom. The music is what got me interested in ballroom. I'm a house DJ. I spin everything for my community, but I started with house music. And a lot of the ballroom beats, I was around when they were first released and first coming out. And I used to dance to them in the clubs. Yeah, I knew you'd do something, Twysted. I knew. So it's nice to hear them reinvented in some ways for now. But that's my first love, house music. So when the ballroom scene came to Toronto, because I used to watch it on TV in music videos in the '90s, there was a lot of voguing in music videos in the early '90s, late '80s, and that was my only connection to it. I was very young, I guess, in the closet, and so I didn't really have much of another outlet for it. And then I started spinning house music, and then I started spinning in the community, and then my son, 7, I guess would have been the first person to kind of drag me into ballroom, because I wasn't necessarily going freely, but he dragged me into ballroom and let me see the energy that could be in Toronto, because it wasn't here as yet. And so I think that's how I got started. And what keeps me here is just, I love the energy of ballroom. I love the DJs that I've met. First and foremost, Vaughn Allure, who passed away in March. And the connections and friendships that I've made in ballroom, and being able to watch the kids do something and knowing that I have connections or yeah, I guess connections to help Ballroom go forward or to stay is why I'm here.
And I think you really like nailed on something that's really, really important. Just like when Seven dragged you, because Seven saw that there's something that you could offer to the community, even though you're not voguing. He just wanted you to see what the community was giving, because he knew that you'd be able to bring that energy and essence and the community aspect to Toronto. He couldn't do it by himself, because first of all, it takes a community, let's just be honest. And the platform that you have and the work that you've done set things up in a way where you can now go back to venues and be like, we're introducing this thing, you know, go to spaces, go to different community organizations that we won't have access to. And this is literally, I'm glad that he said this, because this is basically you're talking about the beginning of the ballroom scene in Canada, right? Was essentially started through you supporting somebody. So when we're talking about how ballroom can be supported beyond the runway, because that's the discussion that we're going to have today. It's not really about the walkers today, because we know that the walkers are few, but our ballroom community is so large, and we're not seeing people sometimes because, you know, they're thinking that everything is so ball, when not knowing that there's so much more work to do, because the ball is really just, I mean, look at the pandemic. The pandemic kind of proved it to us that the ball is really nothing, with like the community is so much more. And we have to still figure out ways of taking care of our community, whether we have a ball or not. So I'm really like glad that you mentioned the fact that it started out with support for you. Yes, of course, you loved the music, which attracted you, but then Seven dragged you to the ball and said, yo, we can bring it to Canada. And you basically started to use what you had as a founding member of House of Monroe, who I'm also going to talk about as well, because when it came to that original group of House of Monroe, I don't think people really understood the fact that there was probably like only 5 or 6 performers, like in that bunch of people that was actually there. Everybody else, we either forced them to dance, forced them to learn a category because, you know, we're a house, but everybody else really just wanted to be a part of what we're building and just wanted to put their hands in the mix, right? A lot of ballroom a lot of ballroom in Canada up until about 2014, 2015 really was community driven. And it's really in the last couple of years that we're starting to see the competition really drive the ballroom here in Canada. So that's going to lead me into one of the things that I wanted us to discuss today, because I wanted to talk about like collaborations. And Blackcat, you're talking about like you were kind of in the scene, in the community, so that collaboration is still kind of, you know, it's nuanced a bit because you're really a part of our community, right? But when it comes to actually getting support to get out there, to get funding, you know, to get spaces and stuff like that, we actually a lot of times need to collaborate with people. And this is one of the ways that people who are not in ballroom at all can support ballroom, by collaborating with people in the ballroom. So Blackcat, you as somebody who's done collaborations for several different kinds of things, not just balls, what do you look for when you're collaborating with a partner? What kind of things do you think about when you're discussing what the collaboration could look like, if you would even be interested in that collaboration? And yeah, let's talk about collaboration and what makes a good collaborator. What really makes the effort feel collaborative?
You know, I think for me, I do parties in the scene. I do parties, I do different types of events. I do a pageants, I do parties and stuff like that. And so it's like a learning curve. So I think now what I'm looking for, I look for somebody that's also in the community or is an ally to the community. And so they're looking to give us space, but not take up space themselves. They're looking to give space and give what they can, but not make it about them. And that's hard to find. Trust me. But I think that's the first thing. So I find, for me personally, I do not like to do my parties in straight venues, but there are straight venues that know what the deal is and have done the work and know how they have to conduct themselves for an LGBTQ community. There's a lot of differences, and your security has to know what's good. Your bar staff have to know what's good. Like there are things that have to be right there, and it starts with the club owner. If the club owner isn't about it, then the club is not going to be about it, and you might as well just not be there, because you're just going to run into problems, right? You don't want to just be there to try and like make the money or what have you, because it will just become a problem for your family, for your community. So that's definitely one of the things I look for, is how do they approach us? What are they willing to do for us? What are they willing to give? Yeah, I think that would be my first thing.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing to even start with, because let's be honest, when you're an organizer, and you're organizing on behalf of community, you are really a gatekeeper. And you are going to be the reason why things, just your selection with the venue alone, and can really determine how this ball turns out, or this event, or this anything turns out. Are these, like you said, are they real allies? Do we have to explain gender? Do we have to explain pronouns? Do we have to explain like touching and stuff like that? Do we have to explain like, you know what I mean? Like certain things, when you're going into a space as on behalf of queer people, you do not want to be going into these spaces and teaching anything, right? Because we don't have time to learn, right? And if you're going to be the gatekeeper on behalf of everybody as a community organizer, because this is, of course, one of those things that a lot of people who are in ballroom, shout out to Ralph, because, well, shout out to Canada, period, because all the Canadian leaders are also on the floor as well. But a lot of people who are in different countries that you find are leaders of houses, you're not actually finding them as the people that are quote unquote running the scene and organizing the balls and doing that work, right? So you're literally having somebody who's like, you know, Jack Mizrahi. Jack don't walk balls, right? But Jack has to go in on behalf of the whole community all the time, and advocate on our behalf, ensure that things are in a certain kind of way, ensure that, you know, the ball is going to be a certain kind of way, because the bottom line is that this is for the community. And if the community cannot enjoy, if the community cannot, like TD said, have that space to express themselves, because the owner of this establishment goes against everything, you know, doesn't really respect us for real, then everything that happens in that space is going to be a flop, right? So that is definitely one of the biggest things to worry, not to worry about, but just to think about when you are organizing on behalf of community for people that want to support a ballroom and might not be on the floor, right? You can, a lot of people do this all the time in Canada, eh? They connect us to these bigger companies and these bigger organizations. It's not me going out to them at all. Red Bull, I didn't go to Red Bull. Red Bull found us, right? They hit up somebody and they pass them on to us. Because that's just not my thing. But what I can do, I do, obviously. But yeah. TV. Let's go to you. When it comes to collaboration, so you heard Blackcat, you just mentioned the importance of ensuring that who we collaborate with really supports the community that we are from and supports the vision and what we're trying to bring to the space. What kind of other things do you look for? Because you do a lot of advocacy work on behalf of your kids outside of ballroom. So what kind of stuff do you look for when you're getting in contact with places and organizations that say they want to support?
I mean, I just look for a lot of people who's queer friendly, because like, for example, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of bashing and whatnot going on for the community. So things like that. I had Founder as a support team, and losing Founder, a lot of people, like his best friend, Neutron, Ebony has always been there for me. Daddy Dutch has been there for me. Overwhelmed Mother has been there for me. And overseas people I haven't even met yet has been there or contacting me to make sure that I'm all right. I reach out to people who's been in the community, who's been volunteering for the community, who's in the scene, who's outside of the scene, to try to educate some of the kids about what's going on.
What does that mean for people who are here? When you say people that are inside the scene, that are outside the scene? Because people might not understand what you mean by that, because I think that's going to be the discussion of today.
So when I say outside of the scene, meaning like they don't Vogue. They work in the banks. So like sometimes the kids would be like, how do I get out of debt? So I just walk into TD Bank or Scotiabank, and I asked a few people some questions to try to help them. And I got some of the kids connected with them who's actually in school. Some of them are out in Vancouver right now in school to figure out how to invest into stocks, marketings and stuff like that. So I just do a lot of outreach to try to help people just to figure out what they want to do for their future, even though it doesn't have to do with ballroom.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up the outreach thing, because outreach is definitely one of those things that we're talking about, as you mentioned, with Danger. So now Danger definitely was a part of the ballroom, like since the beginning of the ballroom scene here, but he's only walked a handful of times. But if you can, like, if you were not able to see the way that the community came together to celebrate his life after he passed, you can see the tremendous impact that he had on people's lives beyond the runway. And this was real impact in people's lives. When we talk about chosen family and all that stuff in the outreach work and making sure that kids are actually safe, eating, calling on people and stuff like that, Danger was really all about that groundwork, the work that actually keeps people here, right?
Yes.
So when it comes to outreach and stuff like that, what kind of things did we, I guess, see in Danger that we could learn from? Like, especially, like I said, there are people, the whole conversation is today about how people can support from beyond the runway. So what examples did Danger leave for us that we could learn from when it comes to being a leader beyond the runway and ballroom here?
One thing that I recognize about Founder is that he doesn't judge anybody whatsoever, and he's always been dedicated. Sometimes he'll be working for free. So like, just love what you're doing, right? And have a passion for it, because sometimes people are just doing it for the money. But with Founder, he did it out of love, out of passion, out of dedication, out of calculation. Like he was really about family, about people loving themselves and just having fun. Like, no matter what you're doing, as long as you're having fun and you're telling your own story, because everybody has their own story, have fun doing it.
Yeah. And you know what's so good about that? I just read to my mind saying that. I'm thinking about how many competitive people we already have in the scene. The majority of us come here because, you know, a lot of us are competitive and whatever. So that energy is always quick to be there. So when we see somebody whose energy is completely not focused on competition, basically at all, right? Like they're not interested about that. They're worried about family. They're worried about, you know, these other things, everything but the competition. It's really important that you continue to share that energy, because it helps to cut the competitive vibe, which, you know, can lead to a lot of shade, a lot of discord, a lot of that stuff. So the more love and positivity we have being shared in the community, genuine love, genuine appreciation, genuine support for the community, then we're winning. We're all winning. So definitely I want to shout out to Danger for that, because Danger really, like, his whole motto is just family, anything for the family. Doesn't matter who you are, what it takes. If you're his family, he's gonna do it for you. So
yeah, and one thing about Founder was saying, once you're a Consta, you're always a Consta. And everybody was a Constantine to him. Like, everybody was a part of Constantine, even if you weren't a part of the house or you weren't voguing, because we even have people who's part of our house that has never walked and been there longer than me, you know?
Right, so people don't even, exactly. It's really about the family.
Yes, it's all about family and giving back to the community.
That's beautiful. That's that. Yeah, Danger really was that. And if you to know Danger is to know that. Like, bottom line. Blackcat, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would have said I would have said that it was the same thing for me. Like the music brought me in, but I love family. I'm a family person, and I like the aspect of family. That's very much. I'm a family person in my own like kind of private life, and I have many kids, and that's why, because I love family. I love that aspect. So that's definitely just thinking about it, that's definitely another reason why I'm here.
Yeah, because the commitment that you have for your family is like I can't turn my back on my family now. We've come so far. Like I basically got to be
Yeah.
family till the end. Like you said, TD, once you're in this fam, it's to the end. There's no shade. It's like that's how it is. And I love that so much about ballroom houses. Like I don't know if you guys even know, but like you said, when it came to TD, you mentioned their kids across the country, right? Like when these people joined this house and the first day to start getting active and introducing to each other, introducing themselves to each other on social media, you see this automatic love thing that just happens because, oh, you're in my family now. Okay, so I guess I gotta love you. You're my sis. So this is how it is, and we're just gonna welcome you immediately into the family. So definitely shout out to the families, the houses here that are holding it down, especially the ones that like Constantine that don't really just focus on walking balls. You guys are focused on being a family. You guys are focused on, getting your kids jobs. You guys are focused on, getting your kids opportunities, getting them connected with resources and stuff like that. This is the real work, right? That has to happen. You cannot just the runway is just the allure to bring people in. What do we do what do we do with them when we have them in? That's the real work, and that's everything that goes underneath that is beyond the runway. So everybody can literally find some kind of work to do to help build the ballroom community, even if you never want to walk a ball, even if you never want to attend a ball, right? You can even still support somehow, some way, virtually, electronically. Yeah, I just wanna, because first of all, we are flying through this, y'all. Yeah, because the last thing that I wanted to talk to, I guess, mention and have a light discussion about is the whole aspect of community work. And yes, for sure, let's absolutely have a Q&A. So perfect. Let's just finish with the conversation then. So I want to talk about community work. And we kind of touched on it a little bit with doing the outreach section, but there is a lot of community work that goes into ballroom, for instance, organizing something like this today. This is community work. This is not stuff that's actually at the ball, but you're actually teaching the community history and giving them tools to support and better, make the community better for everybody that's accessing it, right? So when it comes to the two of you now, the two of you are very, very active. Like you said, Blackcat, you are a family guy. TD, you're a resource kind of person. When it comes to community work, what pieces of advice do you guys have for people that might feel like they might not be able to do community work because they might think that community work means a certain kind of thing? Let me give an example, just if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if I understand what you mean, but
okay, like for instance,
go ahead.
Okay, so like for instance, we know that there is okay, so ballroom has had a significant history with like HIV and AIDS awareness, right? So when it comes to community work in the ballroom scene, a lot of times we definitely do, we have condoms and stuff at balls and a lot of pamphlets. And then after we also with word of mouth, right? Bring these kids to talk about testing and stuff with these kids. We're not getting paid for these things as a facilitator on behalf of like nothing. We're just doing the community work to look out for the community, right? Just because that's what you do. You tell your sister, oh, you never been tested before, girl? Come on, Miss Day, let me bring you to a place and blah, blah, blah. Like this is community work. So my question is to you, like, what advice do you, or what pointers can you give to people that might not feel like they're giving to the community? How can they find their place to give to the community? Or how could they find a way to realize what they're doing is still helping to build the community?
I guess two things come into my mind when you say that. That Toronto does not like Toronto does not have a overabundance of elders mentoring kids. And that's always been an issue. And whatever it is, the elders feel like the kids don't want them around. The kids feel like the elders are not around. I think there are a lot of elders in the community that think that there are no kids that want to listen to them, and that is not the case. And I think that's a little bit of a cop-out. As an elder, you should grow some balls and go and find the kids and do what you can for the kids, because they're kids. They're not supposed to be finding you. Some kids do, when they feel like they have a need, they go to an elder, and then that elder can become their father in many ways, or their mother. But there are a lot of elders in this community that step away from the community, feeling that there's no reason for them to be here anymore. And your life experience is reason enough to be in the community. Stuff that you came up doing or not having is reason enough for you to come back into the community and make sure that the kids do not have to go through that. Or if they have to go through it, they don't go through it alone. So that would be one of the things in my mind. The other thing is, there are a lot of people in the community that have amazing backgrounds and amazing jobs in different things that the community could use. Just their own day-to-day, like lively jobs. And there's ways to connect the job that they are in with the community. And I think that should be kind of open to them more, because I don't think that they really think about that. I don't think they really think about, oh, I work at this such and such place, and I could probably get water from them, because I'm sure that the company would want to like maybe give water, or maybe the company would like to sponsor something. Maybe they're a franchise, so they can do that, right? The amount of managers that I know that work for McDonald's, and they're franchise shops, and maybe McDonald's can give food, maybe they can give whatever it is. I'm just saying that there's so many people doing things outside of the ballroom scene that can help the ballroom scene, and they probably don't feel like it would even make sense. But it does. Every little bit helps. So yeah, that's kind of where my mind kind of goes to.
Yeah, every little bit helps. And I definitely want to go back to the first point, because when you're talking about your presence itself makes a big difference. You even being around, I remember hearing like during the last, I've heard it so many times, but I definitely heard it this week again, where they're talking about like just a trans woman existing is activism, which is community work, right? So there's something about you taking up physical space in a space, whether you're elder, whether you're a kid, whether you're walking, whether you're not, you being in the space, showing that this space is actually needed and valued, is community work. That is community work. If there's no people in the space, we can't get the space. There's no need for the space, we can't get these spaces. And like you said, Blackcat, go ahead. And that's...
No, I was just gonna say, and that is why when somebody leaves the space, passes away in the space, it is such a hardship for the people left in the space, because everybody in that space is important. Everybody, down to the person that isn't really good at what it is that they're doing, but everyone in the space is important. So the more that you bring into the space, the more joy comes from the space. The bigger the space is, the more richness that is in the space. It's very important. I love that. Like just being an elder and being in the space and letting kids see that there are elders in the space completely changes your mindset.
I was just talking to Tamar, actually. We had a discussion where she was talking about like, we're watching photos and whatever, discussing the fact that, the whole HIV epidemic when it was happening in the 80s and 90s, and the fact that we don't have elders, that are so many Black elders in our community, because they're literally not here. So we have this sense of hopelessness, not knowing what being older in the community even looks like, because we don't see them. So us just seeing you will make such a big difference, because it's like, okay, we do get older. We don't all just pass young, which is something that is, it gives us anxiety, because we are seeing our friends, we're seeing people our age dying, and we're getting this sense of anxiety. So just seeing people who've made it through life is enough, right? So yeah, yes, your very presence itself is community work.
And I just like,
sorry, TD. I'll just say that I'm an elder. I'm looked at as an elder, but I like to see Douglas and Angela and those people, because when I came out, even though we're close in age, I was little. In my mind, to them, I was new. I was, all of those things. And when I see them at Blocko, or if they show up to one of my events, the happiness that comes within me, because they don't come out that much. They don't come out that much anymore. But when I see them, I'm almost brought to tears. Angela will see me, and like, if anybody could just make me cry on the spot, it's Angela. I don't know what it is, but Angela just does it. And so I think it's so important to have elders in the space.
Yeah, that's a beautiful point. That's a beautiful point. Thank you for that. TD, you're gonna
Sorry,
say something.
TD.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to add, like, speak up. Don't be scared to speak up and actually, like, say, okay, I want to, do something with the senior community scene, right? Because a lot of people who's young feel like they're out of place, like they don't have a say, and we always want to hear from new ideas, the new generations. Sometimes we're getting old, so some stories or the ideas is not up to par. So, like, don't be afraid to speak up. Speak up. The older people come out more, because we're like, the old generations and the new generations, we're here to have fun, and some of the old girls probably feel like, okay, I'm too aged out to actually come out. But it's like, no, we want to see you guys. We want to see you guys walk, because that brings happiness, because it's like, okay, the history does live on, so yeah, that's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, it's very, very important. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about American ballroom that we don't get to see here, because you get to really see the intergenerational community in the ballroom. There you have people all the way up to age 70 going to balls with canes and walkers and stuff like that in the fucking ball. Done, darling, done with the cane and the walkers and shit like that. That shit is exciting. It feels so good to see, like, you're in a space and you can see like a whole 18-year-old kid in the bathroom still discovering themselves and whatever, and then you see a completely old person in the same space enjoying the same event, getting life from the same thing. It really, really is beautiful, and that's one of those things that ballroom really has that we should. And I hope that as we, us younger, older folks now, as we continue to age out, it's something very important that we focus on the things that we know we did not get, and be those things. So we didn't have that much of an older generation in our community. When we have a chance to be, God spare our life, but if we ever live to see that long and we get the chance to be the older people, we need to make sure that we're the older community that we did not get, and or reflective of the older community that we did get, like Douglas and them, like DJ Blackcat, that was really, really supportive to us and really, really, uplifted us when we needed it. Because there's, like you said, there's just, when you see them, there's this admiration. It's almost like your parents, like, I don't want to say like that, but it's like your mom coming to your show that you never thought she would have been at. So you see them and they're in your space and they're living. It's like, oh my God, you see it for this? It's like, oh my God, it feels so hype, right? But that's what that does. That's the void that you're filling. So it's very, very important that we do that to people that are younger than us when we get the chance to do that. And in ballroom, we have a chance of doing that even as young people, because like you said, even though we might be in the same age group as some people, but it's not like that in ballroom. So I might have been here 30, I might be a 50-year-old bitch in ballroom, right? And you might be 2 years old in ballroom. So age don't really play a part here. It's just really about what you put in and what you get out. So I will definitely leave the conversation there. I want to open the floor to anybody that has questions If anything has been sent in, or if anything you just want to go over or ask us personal questions that might even be related to the topic, you have an opportunity to do so before we close.
Yeah, and I'd like to offer, people can unmute if you're on the Zoom or want to write a comment. I can just see the question as well.
Yeah.
Shy. I guess I could start off because I have so many questions always, and I'm always trying to learn and keep growing and educating myself in ballroom. Yeah, I'm wondering, this might be a different dialogue in total, but what do you all feel about, I feel social media, especially Instagram, there's been so many new like pages about ballroom, but not necessarily by people from maybe the main scene. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that. And like, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of like, they want to do a lot of good, but I feel like you wouldn't even, like, a lot of them haven't even experienced like the ballrooms, like the real scene, the scene, like, have never even been to New York. And like, does that make them their work less valuable or more like, anyways?
Yes, from the door, yes. It literally means that you do not actually want to do so, because by your works, you will know them. If you care about the community, before you work in that community, especially if you're not from that community, you gotta get involved. You gotta get included in that community. One of the people that we work with up here, shout out to Gabrielle. She's she's a white woman, she's a Jewish woman, queer woman as well, but knowing that our scene is predominantly Black here in Toronto. And she wanted to, because she's a filmmaker. And so her passion is, of course, we're not ballroom, but our passions line up side by side. And anybody would just run to a filmmaker, right? But to her, it was very important to her that she really got the trust from the ballroom. So no shade, she's been around for like 5 years now. Just like getting into the community, building her name and reputation, because this is really what it's about. By your fruits, you'll know them. Now Gabrielle can come to us and say that she's doing this, doing that, and now you have the whole ballroom up here co-signing it, because we know your heart. You're not just gonna come here and try to make any kind of money off ballroom, and we're just gonna co-sign you after because what, you want to do good. The good would have been to partner with somebody in that ballroom, collaborate with somebody in that ballroom, so that you're not just getting all the benefits for yourself, because who should be benefiting at the end of the day? It should be the community in some kind of way. And the community cannot benefit from it if the community is not behind it. Like literally helping to create this thing that you're doing. It's not about calling us after to help work on the thing. No, when it comes to the creating of the thing, somebody needs to be there from them. That's what collaboration looks like. It doesn't mean to come ask me after. It means even the name, the concept, the theme, everything has to be done collaboratively. That's what makes a true collaboration. So yeah, to me, I don't see it. Like when people try to come in and do all that stuff, I am, when it comes like the gatekeeping thing, I mentioned it earlier, because I really take that role seriously. You're not gonna come and fuck up these, not my girls. Not my girls, period. Okay? So I take that serious. Yeah, I will gun you, because what you think that you're doing to help us, I'm gonna let you know. Yes, you're saying it's helping us. Darling, you are not, you're not helping us. Okay? You're just trying to look good. You're really just trying to look good. You're trying to ride a wave. You're not helping us. You think you are, but the only way to know that you're helping us is to ask us. You can't assume. But yeah, how do you guys feel about all these people jumping on the bandwagon?
I mean, like you were saying before, like educate yourself with the community, right? Do the work, volunteer, get to know people, get to know the categories. Don't just do it because you want to do it and you're like, oh, this is fab. I watched it on TV. I want to be a part of it. No, be a part of it before you start whatever you're trying to do for the community.
Especially if you're not a part of the community.
Exactly.
You got to show that you mean well. You got to show that you mean well beforehand.
Yep. I totally agree. But it's like that in my mind, it's like that in the party scene too. There's a lot of people that just jump into the scene because they see they see somebody that's successful and making money, so they feel like it's easy and they can just come in and just start parties or what have you. But something that I've learned, throughout my years of doing parties is that they never last.
Okay, those phonies.
They never last. They never last because what they think it is not what it is. Right? They come in, they expect all the money, and then they get two people at their party and they leave because their mindset wasn't about the community, and their mindset wasn't about having a space for people, and their mindset wasn't about any of that stuff. Their mindset was, I can charge this amount of money and get the money and put on a
because it's a sensationalized thing that happens around the house, so I could just ride the wave.
Right. So I don't really pay attention. I don't give people like that that much energy anymore, because sometimes when you give them that energy, it helps them. I don't give them the energy anymore because I know they won't be here. I've never been wrong about that. They're not here.
And you heard that from a pioneer.
It's the same kind of
something that you tell us from. Exactly, the pioneer said it. So when it comes to that's why it's good to have older people in this space, because we'll see these things and we'll probably feel like we're the first person going through this thing and just start snapping. Oh my fucking gosh, language I'm still here. Oh my gosh, what are they doing and whatever. And then you, Blackcat, can literally be like, child, we've been through this so many times. You wait. Give it 3 months, girl. Give it 3 months and it's gonna be a thing of the past. So that is, that's how elders can help us right there. You've been through things, you've seen things. You can give us, a flag like, girl, don't lose no sleep over that, bitch. This has already been done. This is just nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. To be very honest, if you're an elder in the community, then you've been here for a while and your heart is different. So when somebody comes into the community trying to do something, you're not bitter and you're not saying, oh my gosh, they're going to take away the shine from me. And you're not doing all those things because you just don't really need to. You're an elder and you've set your place. So when somebody new comes into the scene, you already can see and feel how they are as they're walking in, right? I give one example of that just because they are doing a job. I'm not giving an example of somebody that didn't, but I give an example of somebody that did, and that's SNL. SNL came into this scene and they took their time and they didn't try to step on any elder's toes, and they didn't try to say that they're the best and that they're the party to go to and screw everybody else. And when they were having an event, they called my phone and they said, hey, I'm having my event on 2nd. When are you having your event? And we spoke, and so that there was never a conflict of interest. You weren't trying to split your crowd just because you want the most people, or you think you're the best, like all of that kind of stuff. That shows your energy, and that shows your energy towards the community. Because if you're walking in here trying to knock off the leader of the community, so to speak, that is doing things and have been here, then what kind of energy do you have when you're trying to do that? You don't have an energy of coming together. You don't have an energy of wanting to be a part of and help build yourself with this person that's been doing it for a while. If your mindset is, I want to take this person out, then you shouldn't be here. And no shade, you won't be, because you can't knock down an elder like that. It just can't. It doesn't happen.
Respect your elders.
It don't work like that. It never works like that in these communities.
It never does.
It
never works.
We have. We have one question from someone, Elisa.
There's a question from Elisa.
Go ahead.
Sorry, internet just out for a second. Sorry about that. Yeah, we have a question here in the chat. Have you ever been affiliated with any advocacy organizations outside of the ballroom? Myself personally, yeah. So the Black Coalition for AIDS Prevention here in Toronto is an organization that's outside of ballroom. We don't really have ballroom organizations here, actually. So Toronto Kiki Ballroom Alliance is a free community organization that kind of it's not really an organization, it's grassroots. all the organizations here are all outside of Ballroom. And because of the work that we've done to kind of build this free-flowing body called the Toronto Kiki-Ballroom Alliance, we are now able to collaborate with a lot of these advocacy organizations that work with different people in different kind of age groups. Even today, we just had another kids ball with a partnering organization that does work for kids. Shout out to Freedom School Toronto. It was really, really beautiful, and they do really, really good work. As for the question about finding ball to attend in New York City, so Ballroom is pretty underground, but on Facebook, Facebook is going to be the girl because that's all we use in ballrooms. We just have to go with the flow. And there's a few ballroom groups called like Ballroom Clips, Dips, Tricks and Splits and stuff. And there's also like another group called like Ballroom Worldwide. Other groups that you'll be able to find some of these. You won't be able to find them on Google and stuff like that because it's just not how it works. Unless you like already have a Facebook page that's public. So your best bet is to go into these groups, try to join the group and get connected to people there that are in Ballroom. Like it's really a word of mouth thing. You're gonna have to go make some friends that are involved in Ballroom somehow, some way. Yeah, and I know that OTA is actually coming back, not this Monday coming, but the following Monday, and I think it's in the Bronx at $3 Bill. You can search up the club. It's called $3 Bill Club, and it's a great, 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 great time on a Monday, darling. You have a great ballroom experience. It's not a full-out ball, but you get to really see a lot of the people. It's really a community feel. And yeah, you get to really still have a fun time. So that's what I would suggest you do if you're going to New York. Go to a mini ball, go to an OTA, go to a Rumble, go to a major ball. Just go check it out. You'll find them. But yeah, that's the way to do so. So we are going to wrap up here. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank VOGUE Jam and everybody else that organized this for having us here. Myself, I want to thank DJ Blackcat, and I also want to thank TD Constantine for being such amazing panelists. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit us up at Toronto Kiki-Ballroom Alliance on Instagram or on Facebook, and you can hit any of us up there. Hope you guys have a great day, and see you guys next week for the next talk session.
And I just want, yeah,
peace.
Actually speaking, and we're doing a little Q&A with them. The following week after that, we have Clarissa from the Montreal scene talking about Latinx scene and like the Latin community ballroom that's kind of blowing up right now. And then the last talk we have before the ball is going to be with Felix Milan, and he's going to show some videos from the 90s, a little bit of a screening. And there are balls on the 31st. If you want to know more about the ball, follow VOGUE Jam. We got lots of money, lots of prizes. Love to see you all there. Thank you all so much. And yeah, see you next week. Bye. Thank you.